is our radio ministry, KICY, IC Radio, in Nome, Alaska. You know, Nome is really kind of an interesting place. It's only a population of 5,000, but it's a town that the whole world's heard of. And so it is uniquely placed in a particular region of the world, and our radio ministry has had a particular influence in that entire region. Harvey Fisco, please come up and join us as well. So we're going to show you a quick video to help introduce you to that ministry, and then we want to recognize Dennis Weidler and his really marvelous ministry over these last several years.
Faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God.
On Easter Sunday of 1960, KICY signed on the air with those words. Today they still define the mission of what has become a most unique international broadcast ministry of the Evangelical Covenant Church. KICY is really two broadcast stations operating from the same studio facilities in Nome, Alaska. IC 100.3 FM serves the community of Nome with a format we call Contemporary Christian, a blend of praise and worship, adult contemporary, and even heavy metal Christian music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. KICY AM 850 is the 50,000-watt clear channel regional powerhouse, serving all of Western Alaska and deep into the Russian Far East. We broadcast in 5 languages: English, the 3 Eskimo languages, and Russian. KICY is the only radio station ever licensed by the FCC to broadcast into a foreign country from U.S. soil. It took 10 years and an act of the International Telecommunications Union in Geneva, Switzerland, to gain approval. Every evening at 11 o'clock, we turn our 50,000-watt signal into the Russian Far East and begin the Russian language broadcast. Luda Kinnock, who grew up in the village of Sereniki, is the host and holds a rock star status in Russia. She provides biblical teaching and Russian Christian music to her loyal listeners. At 4 in the morning, we return to our normal coverage and are back once again in the English language. At 7, Lon Swanson hosts the Breakfast Club with news, weather, sports, Bible trivia, and the Riddle Machine. Listeners call in from hundreds of miles away to win a solar-powered radio. That's followed at 9 by Care Force, our daily prayer request program. Our broadcast day is filled with Southern gospel and praise and worship music, as well as programs provided by Moody Radio. At 7 p.m., Bertha Kowalik hosts Singspiration Time. For 3 hours, she shares music recorded in villages throughout Western Alaska. These songs are recorded in the 3 Eskimo languages, as well as English. That briefly describes the services of KICY AM 850 and IC 100.3 FM. We're staffed by volunteers and supported by your donations. Thanks for making it all possible.
Well, on stage with us, Harvey Fisco, who's pastor of Nome Covenant Church, and Dennis is pastor. Frederick Wall, who works with at Covenant offices, but is our liaison with Arctic Broadcasting, which helps provide some administrative and governance oversight. And then Anna Carlson, who is on the staff of our Alaska conference, here as an expression of support and appreciation for all that KICY has meant to the ministry in Alaska. In a previous role that I had with the Covenant, had a lot of interaction with our ministry in Alaska. KICY hit a very vulnerable point. In fact, I think there were very deep and honest conversations about, does KICY actually have a future moving forward? And as we navigated through some of that uncertainty, we didn't even have a permanent general manager at that point. And somebody said, well, there's this guy who lives in Michigan named Dennis, and he has interest in Christian radio. And Dennis, in having a heart that is very sensitive to God, as well as being a brilliant radio person, he and his wife Candace thought seriously about this opportunity, knowing how fragile an opportunity it was. And he said, okay, well, I'll go up for a limited period of time, no more than 5 years, and probably not even that, just to help right the ship and see what it does. Well, 19 years later, we recognize the incredible impact of Dennis's ministry. So we'd like to read this certificate of recognition. For faithfully following God's call to exchange the beauty of Western Michigan for the beauty of Western Alaska, to serve as general manager of the Arctic Broadcasting Association in Nome, Alaska from 1999 to 2017. For providing unparalleled leadership to the staff of radio station KICY to ensure that God's love shines brightly into the villages of Western Alaska and the Russian Far East. For ably resourcing the Arctic Broadcast Association during its meetings and preparing detailed reports identifying and celebrating how KICY helps see lost people found and hurting people helped. For using the gifts that God has given you to serve as engineer, copywriter, fundraiser, and on-air talent to be the voice and face of radio station KICY. For living the motto, have salmon, will travel, and going to countless churches in the lower 48 to cook delicious salmon dinners and share the inspiring story of how KICY is reaching the people of Western Alaska and the Russian Far East. For serving the communities and churches of Western Alaska and the village of Nome as an unpaid audio technician and consultant. For being a faithful member of Nome Covenant Church, serving there in many capacities, most notably as a bass player in the worship band. For your commitment to the Nome community, volunteering when asked, and being an active participant in the Rotary Club. And for your deep devotion to God, and for living out your faith in the place to which God called you, and for serving as a shining example of a humble, obedient follower of Christ. The Evangelical Covenant Church says, well done, good and faithful servant. Gary B. Walter, President, Rebecca Gonzalez, Executive Director of Operations. Dennis, receive this with our deep appreciation for how God's kingdom has moved forward through your ministry.
I do want to say thank you to the Evangelical Covenant Church for allowing us to go and serve in the Arctic. It's really been a privilege and a wonderful opportunity to grow together in faith with my wife over the last 18 years. I want to thank also the Alaska Conference for partnering with us and supporting us. Also, I want to thank the Kalamazoo Covenant Church for sending us. I think that's appropriate. And I also want to thank the Nome Covenant Church for welcoming us with open arms and allowing us to work side by side in ministry in the Arctic and also into Russia. And also the Arctic Broadcasting Association. Thank you so much for allowing us to serve in Nome, and every day was a wonderful opportunity to be challenged and rise to the occasion. So we thank you for that, and thank you for this. I certainly appreciate it.
You might hear that voice narrating a few Covenant videos in the future, I'm not sure, but thank you, Dennis.
The moderator recognizes Paul Hawkinson, and joining him, Hugh McGill, Chair of the Board of Pensions and Benefits, for presentation of Agenda Item 28.